Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down, Shut Up. Hope you guys doing well. Today we got Schmiddy joining it back. Let's bring him on.
Yo.
Hey, Schmiddy, can you hear me?
Yep.
How's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, I know you've run it a couple of times, so tell me what's been going on with your games lately. What do you think you've been struggling with?
I think it's a lot of like neutral interactions, like how to, I guess, like when you're in that space, like when I was playing against that friend on the first replay I sent today, there's a lot of times where I'd get counter hit trying to hit him first.
Mm-hmm.
And just like knowing like what to do, like what I need to change so that like either I hit him first or I just don't get hit, I guess. I guess I know
Okay.
how to literally never get hit, but
How to not get hit? Yeah. If I had the answer to how to not get hit, I could make $1 billion doing this.
yeah.
But yeah, we can take a look and see exactly what's been happening for you. So that said, we'll do the normal sort of format for this. So for posterity, I guess we'll do a run of first to three, kind of get a sense of where you're at. We'll do replay review of one of those games. We'll also do replay review of one of the ones you sent me. So you sent me a few. Maybe I'll take a look at that one you were talking about your buddy. Some lab work if there's something in particular we want to look at, and then run it back if there's time. Sound reasonable?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Let's make this room. And invite. Oh, I think I misspelled that. There we go. And I think it's this one.
Yep.
All right, cool. So same deal as usual. I'll go ahead and deafen in Discord so I don't impact anything you're doing. So go ahead and queue up, and good luck. All right, so Schmiddy, been playing Elena, if I'm not mistaken, and they're pretty good. They've gotten a lot better over the course of the last, I don't know how many months it's been. So let's see what's going on. They're saying they're having some trouble in neutral, so my guess would be that they're kind of either getting whiff punished or they're getting stuffed, right? It's usually what that means. Delayed sec, maybe? That was nice. Alright, so right there, the little step back, right? Oh, that's out of range of that, huh? The little step back, I think, is pretty critical. For Ken, anyway. Because he doesn't really have a way to challenge that, right? Or, sorry. Well, I can't think. Oh, what I was trying to say is that the little step back is sort of key, right, in the corner there, because when you're cornered like that, you can't really adjust space anymore. So when Ken threatens his stand heavy kick or threatens a button and walks in, it can kind of induce people to whiff, right? So that might be what's been happening for them. They're standing at a spacing where, or they're getting forced into spacings where their buttons will whiff. Check something there. Good reversal. I guess there's pressing something on minus frames. Oh, that's a nice space trap. You gotta super me here. Yep. So I guess I can't really press. Oh, did not kill me. Oh, that's unfortunate. So I'm not sure on the frame data on that one, but I just kind of mashed my crouch and medium kick, which would suggest that there was some sort of gap in what they were trying to press there. So again, what I'm noticing right now is that they are trying to stand at a spacing that makes sense for them, so that they don't get hit. But it seems like they're a little eager to press, and that causes them to get counter hit, or a whiff punish rather. Or if I walk up and press a button. Oh, that was nice. I might be able to stuff what they're trying to do. Got the same idea. All right, it's backing up, pressing something. Oh, I didn't get a cancel. And one too many delay text there, right? So, again, what I'm seeing right now, I think the way that I'm kind of beating them in neutral is that I'm standing outside of an effective range for them. And really, I'm just standing at Ken's effective range, right? And kind of just stuffing them when they try to take their turn back. If they're being aggressive after the stand heavy punch, they'll stand like it's going to clip them. Uh-oh. Nice. Oh. Hmm. Oh, that was nice. Alright, so the delay button out of drive rush has been kind of doing some work for me here. My guess is they're delay teching. Right? And you can see that I'm kind of stuffing what they're doing by pressing at a timing to kind of disrupt when they want to take the turn back, right? So we could see in the replay if the frame data lines up for that, where I'm kind of pressing at these awkward timings, but it does seem to be counter hitting them a lot, right? So that would suggest that when they try to take the turn back, maybe they're using too big a button or the timing is off, right? Meaning they're either delaying it too much or the timing I'm doing it at is beating their rhythm. Oh, nice jump. Parry again. Doesn't want to press there. Oh! That was crazy. So the tail hit into the hitbox of the fireball. Hit him through the... Okay, hit him through the roll. Yeah, see that whiff right there? They're not pressing when they're minus, though, which is good. It's just the whiffs, I think, in neutral, right? Uh-oh. Nice slide. Oh, that was not a hit. Nice, 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 nice. So that was my mistake there. I think that button was incorrect for me to press. Ah. Nice TP. Oh, pressing something? I did not route that correctly, but I think this is gonna kill. Yeah, I think like when it comes to neutral, what it really boils down to is that I'm kind of reading when they like to press, and maybe they need to change that up. So let's bring it back on and see what they thought. Hey, buddy, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess I noticed a couple things. One, I think I was like letting you get away with too much on Wake Up.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Anything else you notice? What do you think?
Yeah, it felt like I was like reaching for buttons that just were like a little bit slower than yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I tried to do the thing you were saying about like doing a standing leg kick between heavy punches, but you
Mhm.
also didn't do heavy punch pressure as much because I was answering it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So you actually did a decent job of responding to what I was trying to do to you in neutral there. The issue ended up being that I was able to adjust to what you were doing, and that kind of you basically ran out of chances to adjust back, if that makes sense, right?
yeah,
So let's take a look at one of these. I'm streaming in Discord. I think the
yeah,
second
I
one's
see.
probably what we want to look at. Let's take a look at this one.
And then also, I know that I probably should like reversal on Jinrai or do a drive reversal, something
You can.
like just letting
So
you do it.
yeah, letting me do it for free is problematic, but it's tough because Jinrai it gives Ken a lot of drive advantage, right? Meaning even
Yeah.
if you reversal me against my Jinrai pressure, you still spend 2 bars for 1400 or 1900 damage or whatever it is. I forget exactly how much damage Elena's DP does. But you're spending 2 bars for it, right? And I've already chipped away like half of a bar by nature of you blocking the crouch medium kick into medium Jinrai, right?
So should I
So
just fish for like perfect parries?
you can. So depending on what I'm doing as the Ken player, right? If I'm able to land the crouching medium kick in neutral on block, right? My reward, quote unquote, for that is to be able to cancel into medium Jinrai, right?
Mm.
So there's a couple of different things you can do. The in order from like more conservative to like least conservative, if that makes sense. You could just block it out,
Mhm.
right? You could just do what you were doing, which is try to block low to high, fuzzy guard, make sure you block the overhead, which you did do when it was great. You could go fish for a parry, right? So if I go for the low and you go for a parry there, you can get a perfect parry there, and that's good. The downside to that though is that if I don't do the low, I can just walk up throw you for free, right? That's
Yeah,
tough.
which you were doing at the end
Yeah.
anyways.
I mean, if you adjust to if you switch to try to like do nothing, basically, like I'm just gonna continue blocking or I'm gonna try to parry, then I can just walk up throw, right? Like you're kind of stuck in that space, right? And it can be kind of hard to delay tech there because you're trying to just block the Jinrai pressure, right? Especially if you commit to parry, obviously you can't delay tech. You could delay tech technically if I'm walk forward and you just kind of react to that motion. But otherwise, option wise, you could also DI, right? So if you see me abusing crouching medium kick into Jinrai, right? Or target combo to Jinrai, like Kens do that. A lot of them do at like, 14, 15, 1600 level, right? Even 1700 to some extent. If you see me doing that a lot, like crouching medium kick in the Jinrai, then you can DI the crouching medium kick, right? So it's a bit of a read,
Yeah,
but it's a hard punish, right? Like meaning I can't do anything. If I commit to the cancel, the DI is gonna blow me up, right? I'm cooked in that sense, right?
yeah, I run into that with Sway because
Mhm.
I autopilot the Sway a bit.
Yeah. And then people will just be like, okay, well, they're going to button to sway, so I'm going to DI you. And then if you sway into the overhead or button or whatever, you get DI'd, right? Same deal.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what DI does, right? It allows you to kind of make the read against them. Like you walk into the range of my crouching medium kick, I get enticed to press it, I cancel into medium Jinrai and get blown up for it, right? Again,
yeah,
it's a bit of a risk, right? And it's definitely a read on your part if if me as the Ken player continue to do that. But it is a way to deter me from doing that, right? So if you don't necessarily need to beat the Jinrai, you just have to stop me from doing it for free, right? Like if
yeah,
you have a meter to spend and you can stop me from doing it, then that is a good thing, right? Now you're forcing me away from my autopilot. Now I have to do something else, and that can only be a good thing for you, right? Because if you're dealing with Ken, autopiloting Jinrai and you can't deal with that, that's what you're gonna deal with for the next 2 games, right? Like the
yeah.
rest of your set is going to be that, right? So but yeah,
That
parry
makes
is good,
sense.
reversal is good. Every once in a while, be willing to spend it if you have the bar, right? Just
Yeah,
discourage me from autopiloting it is really the goal, right? So yeah, that's Jinrai. Okay, cool. So that said, this was game 2. So let's take a look. All right, so here was good, right? So what happened here was I tried to walk up and press something, and you pressed something before I could, and your button came up before mine could, right? So that's good.
yeah,
So this is a spacing thing, right? So as soon as I was in a space where you felt your button could reach, that's when you pressed, right? Now,
yeah,
obviously, it's a little bit close because we're both moving forward, right? So you can see how quickly the space closes, right? So we're both moving forward, and the space closes
yeah,
super fast, right? So like, the button gets pressed a little bit, quote unquote, later than is technically correct, if you will. But for both of us, at least for me, I would have recognized the space about here and pressed, right? So then,
Yeah,
a few
yeah,
frames later, we're both moving forward, and that's just how neutral is played, right? That's just how the game goes. We're both
yeah.
sort
So
of
here
locked
I
in the
could do like a
stance.
light.
Hmm. You could,
Here I could have done a light.
you could, but you land this instead, right? And this is actually better,
Yeah.
right? You actually stuff what I'm
True.
doing, right? So
Yeah.
this is good. And this is something you need to take note of when you're playing like shotos in general or in neutral in general, is that when you land these counter hits, like you kind of have to be paying attention to what was happening that led up to it, right? So if you watch up to the counter hit happens, right? So what was happening, right? What was happening was I was trying to move forward aggressively. I threw a fireball, take up some space. I walk forward. I dash to start walking forward, and then I'm trying to walk into a space to press a button, right? Now, for most people, right, now you're just like, oh, they just try to press a button, right, whatever. But for you, now that you are trying to elevate your game, right, you have to pay attention to what space I'm pressing the button at, what situation led up to that, and what button I'm choosing, right, if you can see it. So
Yeah.
it can be tough to see, right, the button being pressed.
I mean,
Right.
here you barely got the chance to press.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and you can kind of see the startup, right, but it's hard to
Yeah.
actually see what button was pressed here. Right, like, if you can identify it, that's great, but if not, it's not the end of the world. But what you do need to know is that I pressed something that got stopped
Yeah.
by your, in this case, 8-frame button, right? So whatever that was that I pressed, either Juzzy pressed it a little late or it was slower, right? But I wasn't pressing a light. Like, I'm walking up pressing a light, right? If I pressed a light here, obviously it would have probably stuffed what you were doing. So what that means, what you should be thinking about is, and I'm sure you've seen the footsie's trilemma, right? So in this case, your opponent, me, is trying to walk up and hit you, right? So
Yeah.
you did the correct thing here and stuffed it, but the next interaction that comes up, am I going to do the same thing or not? Or am I going to continue playing that role, right, of trying to hit you with a button? So those are the types of things you need to be kind of paying attention to. Because most people, like, it's funny because most people, when they do something that works, the most likely thing they'll do is that same thing again, right?
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, the least likely thing they'll do is that same thing again, right? So you kind of have to think about what's happening there. But in reality, what happened, like in a vacuum, was that you walked into a space that made sense to press the button, and we both moved forward, so it kind of threw off both of our spacings. But your button came up before mine, and you get a good counter hit from this. And then a little conversion from this, or it would have been if it didn't, like if this converted.
Yeah, I was deliberately trying to create a +1.
Okay, so this is a plus situation for you, right?
So I'm +1 here, and then
Okay.
I grab you.
Yeah, and then I go for a parry here, right? Because I think I recognize that you were plus in that scenario there,
Yeah.
but I didn't actually know how plus you were, right? So I just guessed that you would go for, basically I just guessed you'd go for a strike here, right? And you hard read the strike on defense, and you got me here, right? So it's good. All right, and then I do it again, right? So
Yeah.
I end up trying to parry the button coming in, I parry that, get some drive back, and I take my turn back kind of aggressively here, right? So if you take a look.
Yeah, I probably could have hit again if I wanted to.
Yeah, so I'm +1 here, right?
Yeah.
And so I press kind of a greedy button here. This is like a 7-frame button, right? Crouch medium kick. So if you recognize your opponent going for these kind of buttons on their turn, right? Like +1 situation goes for 7-frame button, you can stuff it with a light, right? So kind of what you're thinking here.
Yeah.
So if it's a bit of a read because realistically, like your turn is over, right? Supposedly. But if your opponent is doing something greedy like I'm doing here by taking the turn back with a bigger button, then you could potentially punish me for that, right? By using a faster button like a light or something like that, right? Because your light in this case here, like if you do a 5-frame light here, would actually beat whatever I'm doing here, right? So,
Yeah.
but I take my turn back aggressively here, right? Instead, right? So, again, it has more to do with like, it's more of a rock paper scissors type of deal here, but like the correct quote unquote thing to do would be for you to do what you do, which is let your turn end and block, right, and observe what I do, right? Because the next time I'm in a +1 situation like that you induce, right, you create your minus, which or you do your button and it's blocked. right, you can take advantage of what I'm doing or what I'm attempting to do on defense, and you can blow it up, right? Whether that be trying to space me out because you see the 7 frame coming, or you try to stuff the 7 frame with like a faster button, or you go for like a throw or something if you're in range, right? So like these options become real for you once you have a beat on like what things I'm trying to do on defense, right? So we'll see more, I think, when we look at the game, the replay we're going to look at. But this is what's happening here, right? In the neutral sort of space, if you will, when we're landing things like buttons on each other on block, like that's the game that's being played, right? Is the spacing going to allow me to press another button? Am I minus or plus enough to take my turn back, or do I have to try to steal the turn, or what's happening there, right? And then what are the options my opponent's doing? Are they taking the turn back aggressively? Are they quote unquote respecting the minus frames that I can get away with something? Like what are they trying to do, right? And then you make adjustments right from there. Right there, right? So you had been going for delay tech a bunch off of drive rush, like the last game. You got blown up a couple of times by my delayed button out of drive rush, right? So that would suggest, like, what that would suggest to me is that you're delay teching or some sort of delay option out of the drive rush, right? Most likely is delay tech. Yeah, most likely is delay tech. Yeah, that'd be my guess. Delay button can be kind of tough in that scenario. I'm not sure if that's quite what you want to do, but that was my guess, right? Was that you were delay teching. So because of that, I made an adjustment here to shimmy you right after this because you blocked, right? So, and that's what I mean, right? When it comes to like the adjustments on the fly, that type of thing, right? And this is where I think like where you're at in your game is where you have to start paying attention to these sort of micro interactions, if you will. I wouldn't call them micro interactions, but these interactions, and starting to try to build a game plan against what your opponent is doing, right? So see, that time I thought you would delay tech again, right? Instead you parried, right? And then we both had the same idea, and we were both at a range, and we shake hands, right? And then we trade because we both have the same idea again. In this case, I press 6 frame, you press a 4 frame, and it trades, right? Because we're both kind of late. And I think we both were expecting something to happen in terms of the delay tech right here, or the tech. And then we're like, oh. And then see, I press like 5 frames late, right? Whatever. So, but anyway, we trade back to neutral, right? All right, so this was good, right? So take a look at this, right? So technically, I think I'm plus here because of the button trades, right? So I traded a medium with your light. So normally lights have less hits done in general, so that would leave me plus, but definitely not in range to do anything about it, right? So since I know I'm plus here, I try to move, right? And press something pretty big, pretty heavy button here, right? If I had pressed this on time, like right here, right, it would have forced you to block, right, if I had pressed it on time. But I delayed, right, because I wasn't sure what was really happening, right? So so let's see what happens here, right? So in this case, in my mind, I'm standing at a spacing where stand heavy kick will reach, right? So if I make your player do nothing,
which I guess you just did,
right? Yeah, if I do make you do nothing, right? If you just blocked, that would have hit, right? Like, right, oh. But that's not what happened, right? You ended up being aggressive and pressing a button, right? Which worked out for you because I pressed the bigger button, and then you actually interact with the startup frames of my stand heavy kick, right? So, right. So this is good, right? So good recognition on your part here that the spacing would reach, right? So it worked out. Good conversion. And then here, right, I'm not sure if you get Oki from this scenario here.
It's like plus 39, so I could probably drive rush.
Yeah, drive rush maybe, yeah. So would that be worth the spend?
You can do roll Oki too, but
it's
a little bit.
Oh.
You can do roll, but it is like stuffable.
I can wake up with like a button or something and it'll, so, you know, that's something to consider here in this scenario. I know I don't know we talk about meter management too much, but you just landed a hit on me. You put me in the corner here. If you did a drive rush, you'd be a little bit behind on bar, but you'd land something on block potentially. I mean, I could reversal or whatever, right? But you'd be able to extend your pressure a little bit for 1 bar into whatever Elena's, good drive rush button pressure is. and then get some plus frames and chip away at my drive gauge, or do something else, right? Maybe threaten strike throw. I don't know if MR Elena has like a high-low mix in that scenario, but you could do something there.
She definitely does, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, is it worth the 1 bar to continue the Oki? Most of the time it probably is, right? In terms of like risk reward, because if I make a mistake and you shimmy me, or I wake up with a button and your strike throw is real, or you hit me, open me up, like I'm going to potentially take, 30-40% here, right? And you could level 1 if you wanted to. Yeah, and you have a lead, right? So you could take 1 interaction here, because it's going to be 2 interactions to kill me no matter what, right? Like at this point, at this stage in the game with this type of meter, probably 2 interactions, right? So if you cut this down to 1 interaction, now I have to be more careful, right? Now I have to play knowing that I could lose the game, right? And that can impact some of the decision making that comes in. So instead you kind of back off here. I'm able to backdash, and now we're back to neutral, right? So far in the game, now you have the life lead here, right? So far. But in the last game, I think I won more neutral interactions, and I have been winning slightly more neutral interactions overall, right? In terms of like the last sort of 2.5 games we played. It's just that some of the conversions may not have been there all the time, or like the neutral interaction win, quote unquote, is me landing a button on you, right? Oh, I landed a heavy kick on you in neutral, something like that, right? It doesn't really convert anything, but I'm able to poke you successfully. So like this is where I want to be in terms of, game plan wise. So, you want to spend time in the phase of the game where you're winning the most, right? So like if you were able to successfully, RPS me to death, right? Put me in 50-50 situations, and that's how you can, and I'm sending to lose that, then you want to spend as much time as possible in that scenario, right? If you can. Any type of knockdown you get, press the advantage, force me into 50-50, force me to guess something, and then try to win the game outright there, right? But if you are winning more neutral interactions, then maybe spend more time in neutral, right? Like this is a more stable-ish way to win games, right? So when you watch Punk play, this is what he does. He just stays in the neutral game, takes interactions when he gets them, takes Oki potentially if he's able to take Oki, but he wins more neutral interactions than anyone on the planet probably, right? So like, why would he bother playing rock paper scissors when he could just let me get back up and then whiff punish my next 10 heavy kick, right? Like no reason to take Oki in that scenario. Why take the risk when you know you're going to win the next interaction, right? Now of course I don't know that, and you're playing pretty well today, so I can't say that for sure, but I have been winning more interactions so far, so that's why I back off, or that's why this is where I want to be. Yeah, right there, right? So you're trying to back up out of pressure, get clipped low. Right, so here what happened, right? So after the Sten, so after the Jinrai light,
a kick.
Yeah, you went for a button here, right? And you're minus.
Yeah.
So here. Right. Should be minus like 3 or something, yeah.
Minus 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but we went back to neutral technically, right? So I didn't press my button right away. Neither did you. But I kind of take advantage of your passiveness. You're hesitating here a little bit, right? So if you press something faster or sooner, this probably would have not worked for me here. But if you look at where I press it, this is a little bit close, but I am plus technically. I know we both delayed our buttons or whatever, but I'm still kind of at an advantage here, right? Like from our mindsets. Now, obviously from like the actual game perspective, this is completely neutral now, right? So like my plus frames are done and gone. But it can be hard to press right away, right after that. So I'm kind of waiting to see if you'll whiff something, right? Like maybe you whiff like a light, or maybe I back up and able to whiff punish something as it comes out. So instead I just throw the button out because we're at a range where I can do that. And it just happens to stuff whatever you're doing, right? Oh, I didn't get my my link from there. Oh, and then you get shimmied at the end, right?
Yeah, the shimmy.
Yeah, so, I mean, realistically, if you look at the round as a whole, there wasn't like a huge maybe blunder, if you will, that happened, right? That allowed me to take advantage, right? There was like one shimmy. Right, a trade here. And then I think there's one more counter combo here.
Oh yeah, and I didn't convert there.
Yeah, right here. I think this is probably the blunder, right? This is the
because I can level 2 off of that.
If you land this is a confirm, right?
Yeah, if I press medium punch again, it will just let me cancel and do stuff.
Yeah. And then you get shimmied at the end here, right? So, like, again, there was maybe one sort of misconfirm, but, like, where I got my damage from wasn't necessarily actually winning you neutral in this particular game, right? There were 2 interactions where I forced you to guess on something, and I was able to open you up, right? But, like, if you look at the neutral interactions overall, the one that I did win was when I walked up and said heavy punched you, right? And that's when I kind of took advantage of that. But you won the other one, right? So when you walked up, you stuffed what I was doing. So, like, what I think is starting to come about for you now is, like, how fast can you adjust to what your opponent is doing, right? Like, can you see what your opponent is trying to do in neutral, and can you apply a counter to that, right? And then again, it's also in, like, a little bit in Oki situations where it forces these kind of plus frames. Are you able to defend what your opponent is doing there or not, right?
Yeah, I think I need to learn to take this row a little bit.
It's really hard because Ken, like, since he doesn't really do a ton overall, like, there's no high-low mix or anything like that, he just throws you over and over again, right? And that can get really irritating, even though it takes 10 throws to kill somebody or whatever it is, right? 9 throws to kill somebody. Like, taking 3 of them is, like, egregious, right? It's like, oh man, this is so stupid, like, all this can do is throw me. But, like, one shimmy is that much damage, basically, right? So, like, you know, you kind of have to weigh that on which side you want, where you want that damage to come from. All right, so here's something interesting. All right, let's take a look. Right, so you're trying to land this button, right? And it whiffs. But, like, I like the idea, though, right? Because if I continued walking forward here, this would have clipped me. Right, so if you're reading that I'm going to continue walking forward, and you're trying to land this to time it as I'm moving forward, I think that's a good thing. Right? I think that's, like, what your brain should be thinking about when you're trying to take up space in neutral. Now, it doesn't always work out, right? Because me as your opponent, I'm not going to, I ideally don't do what you want me to do, right? Because it's going to get me killed. So it whiffs, right? But I try to take note of, like, what range you press that at, right? So, like, did you walk up before to press it? Looks like you're walking forward, and then you press, right? So in the previous game, we both walked forward, and my button got stuffed, right? So in this game, right here, I walk into that similar range, but I don't do anything. I just kind of back up, right? And it whips. So I'm trying to pay attention to, like, am I standing at the right range that will cause Schmiddy to whiff here, right? Like, am I standing at a range that induces a button or not? And trying to get a sense of, like, when you want to press that, right? And that's kind of what's happening, is that, like, this dance we're doing here is really about reading what the opponent's tendencies are when I walk into a threatening space, right? And then here's what I do when I do the thing, right? So a lot of times people, after this stand heavy punch is blocked at range, right, at space, right? So if I space this, which it could be better, right? You know, if Ken's fist is here, your hitbox is here, it could be better. But the pushback is absurd, right? Like, since you're back so far. Yeah. And Ken is only -2 here, right? So it is your turn. But in order for you to take your turn back without whiffing, you have to press a bigger button, right? You have to press, like, a 7-frame, 6-frame button, maybe even 8-frame button.
Which I picked, like, an 8, I think.
Yeah, you press crouch medium kick, right? Which is, like, totally makes sense. Like, why would you not press that in that scenario, right? Yeah. Why would Ken press a button he's minus here, right? But that's what this is, right? Is that it's trying to stuff whatever option you're doing here, right? So if I was a better player or, like, you know, committed to the read, I could potentially buffer this into, like, a Tatsu or something, right? Like, I could get some more damage off of this. But the way I use this here is to try to discourage you from taking your turn back with an aggressive button, right? So and you think about what happens, right? So if I land this on you more than once, you're incentivized to not press anymore, right? Like, oh, I just blocked Ken's stand heavy punch. I know it's my turn, but he's been stuffing me with crouching standing light kick, so I'm just going to continue blocking, right? So you block, and then he walks up and throws you, right? Yeah. Or, like, you know, he walks forward and back, induces you to whiff potentially, and whatever, right? But, like, the point is that you're no longer taking your turn back when you're quote unquote supposed to, right? And that changes how you play neutral, like, when you're reacting to things, and that is an adjustment that I'm trying to force you to make, if that makes sense, right? I'm trying to condition you to not press anymore. Because once you stop pressing on that button, I can press it again, right? I can continue chunking your drive gauge, or I can just walk forward, or I can do other things that, if you take a turn back aggressively, don't work, right? Like, if I press another stand heavy punch here, in this scenario, right, you counter hit me, right?
Yeah.
So I can't just do that for free, right? But if you're
So
no
you have to
longer,
condition me first.
yeah, I have to condition you for exactly, right? I have to get you to not, yeah, I have to get you to think about getting hit, right? Now, of course, good players recognize that that's happening and they adjust, right? So it's like, oh, they're trying to get me to not do that. Let's see what they do next time. Okay, now they're not doing anything. Now I'm going to take my turn back, or now I'm going to do this, right? They have to adjust back
Yeah.
to the thing that was getting hit. And that's something I struggle with personally, where it's like, why would I go back to the option that was getting me killed? Right? But there are
Yeah.
times when that's the right thing to do, right? And I think in neutral, especially, what happens a lot, especially when you run these like longer sets with people, like I don't know if that was what you did with your friend, but like when you run these longer sets, what ends up happening is you continue adjusting, and then at some point things stop making sense from like a in a vacuum, where it's like, oh well, if this was game 1, what they're doing makes no sense, but game 20, it's like, okay, they're trying to adjust to like the 4th or 5th or 6th layer of like what's happening, right?
Yeah, and
And
this
then
game will be like game 10.
yeah, right. And it, like, I'm sure when we watch it, it'll be like, I'll be like, oh well, they're gonna do this, and that's not what happens, and I'm like, oh well, it's probably because game 7 or game 5 or whatever, there was some previous interaction that did happen, right?
We
So
joke because he delay takes a lot, so
mhm.
I will like delay button, and I will delay a button so hard that like he could have just like done a full button in between.
Yeah, right. It's like the delay to beat the delay to beat the delay, right? And all of a sudden you're
Yeah,
waiting like 20 frames before just changing it.
exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like that kind of neutral adjustment that I'm talking about, like that happens interaction, right? Or it's gonna start to pretty soon for you here, right? So,
Yeah,
like that's kind of what, like you have to try to pay attention to when you start like when you pay attention to the buttons you're pressing. You get to see some sort of reaction, right? So you walk into my space. What do I do? I press a button. It's on block. What do you do, right? Like that type of thing. And then you have to try to build sort of this database of like, oh, what I think they're gonna do next is this, and then I'm gonna take advantage of that, right? So you see again, right? So same thing here, right? I press the stand heavy punch on block. Slightly better space this time though, right? So you can see the last time your head, Elena's head was like here, now it's like back here. So this is a better space stand heavy punch. It's gonna space you out pretty far, right? And you're gonna try to take a turn back with a, well, I'm assuming, oh, heavy kick. Okay, a big button here, right? That's a big button. You try to take the turn back here, and then I stuff it with a stand like kick again, right? So again, this is me trying to get you to stop pressing in that scenario, right? When it's spaced. Now, if you look and throughout the games, you may see that if I'm not spaced correctly, I don't do this, right? And that's because that's really dangerous for me, right? Because if I'm too close that you could jab me, then this technique that I'm doing here won't work, right? Because your button will beat mine, right? So, right, so that was good right there. Also good, check. I think you're just pressing, it worked out. Yeah. So what you're doing here after the Jinrai is actually correct in my opinion. So take your turn back aggressively here. Ken is -5 though. So if you have a 5-frame punish after this, do it if it's too close. Otherwise,
standing light kick is, but you space pretty well.
Yeah, if I'm not close enough for that, right? Like if I'm point blank, it's gonna work, right? But if I'm spaced, it can be tougher. But taking your turn back with an aggressive button here is more correct, I think, right? Just like do that, right? There's a chance that I back up. There's a chance that I maybe try to get aggressive here, but this is correct in my opinion, right? Take a turn back in this case, right? So, right, good jump.
Yeah, I messed up the conversion, so I just threw out a medium.
Yeah, hope for the best.
Yeah.
All right, so good corner pressure actually, right? So you're able to kind of keep me contained. I want to try to jump out, but I can't because everything is coming at me. Good overhead. All right, so you can see me trying to find a gap in what you're doing, trying to get a read on when you want to try to back up and then press, right? And I did here, but I didn't cancel for some reason, right? So, okay, good throw.
I'm honestly amazed I reacted to that.
You had me. I'm not gonna lie to you here. So you had me for most of this. So if you derev here, reversal here, or something other than delay tech, like if you just block here, you might be able to turn this around, right?
Yeah.
But instead I go for that delay option again, and it catches your delay tech, right? So, because again, you've been going for that, so that's what I did here.
Yeah.
So I get aggressive, +1 situation here. A lot of people will just parry this on reaction or DI it, wake up DI. I think that it's not auto-timed, meaning, oh, damn it. Meaning I may not be able to counter DI from there, right? So, oh, come on, CFN.
I don't think I'm kicked out.
Let's see if we can get back in.
Yeah, I still have access to them.
Okay, let's see here. Yeah, one more try. All right, there we go. Back to it here.
Gotta do this. Come on. Round 1. Fight. Round 2. Fight.
Yeah, so you can see I want to say that if you wake up DI me here, this will get beat by that. I'm not sure though. We'd have to lab it. So let's see. Yeah, so punish counter there, right? Ken gets blown up and dies for that, right? So it can be tough to recognize sometimes. It's a very aggressive option from Ken. I don't do it that often because of this in particular, right? So if you're aware and ready, you can punish this, right? So there are certain setups that the heavy Dragon Lash will recover in time to actually be DI safe. But I don't actually use them, right? So that's just not in my game. But what I'm doing here is I'm trying to keep you off balance by doing something that maybe you weren't expecting, right? So if you weren't expecting that, you're not ready for it, then I can get away with that, right? So which is what happened here. Right, so +1 situation here. I take the jab and then into the throw here, right? So now I think this totally makes sense to do. You have some life here, right? Look how much damage this did, nothing, right? So you have enough. You can take a couple throws here. Good, not delay teching, but bad whiff, right? So
Yeah. Need to do heavy at that space or just wait till you walk up a bit?
yeah. So again, same kind of deal here, right? So this is like the third time I think I've done this where I go for a light. But the difference here is that this is much easier for me as the offensive player because you're cornered, right? So you can't create space anymore. So I can kind of just do this and bully you for that, right? So you try to take a turn back here, stuff it, and then now I'm standing like outside of your stand heavy kick range, I think, right? So kind of outside of Ken's too. I'd have to be standing under the timer.
Yeah, it's forward heavy punch is the only button that hits here, I think.
Okay, so there's a okay, gotcha. Yeah,
so she has one button.
One button that reach. Gotcha. So anyway, you go for this instead. The stand, it looks like this is a stand medium punch, right?
Medium, yeah.
Yeah. So had I continue walking forward, obviously this will work, but we had recognized in the previous game that if I move into this kind of spacing, you're gonna press, right? So even if you look, I don't think I'm reacting to this. Well, maybe I am. It's 12, 13-ish frames. Maybe I'm reacting, maybe not. But I'm kind of, it's a little bit of a read on my part where I think you're going to press and whiff, right? Because I kind of walked forward, right? If you look at this in real time, right, it looks like I'm going to move forward, right? Like you make a decision that I'm going to move forward here and you get baited into whiffing here, right? So that's kind of what happened. So like that is part of that though only really works because I've recognized that that's your tendency is to press in that scenario. The second thing is that you're cornered, right? So like cornered opponents in general and you probably noticed this, is that you are probably more incentivized to press more than you would mid screen, right? Because you're getting bullied in the corner, and you don't like that, right? And you want to try to get some space back. So if you are going to press there, you really have to try to make sure that you don't whiff, or don't press, right? Like one of those two things, because you can't create space, or you can't back up anymore. So either you walk forward and press, or you try to stop me from walking up, right? So. Okay, and then similar thing again here. Okay, so I use the so there's two things I think here, right? One is that the crouching medium punch from here for Ken is 0, right? This is your own block.
Mhm.
And then it spaced me out enough where your light whiffs, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even react to this either, right? This is 4, 8, like 10 frames. I'm not reacting to this. I'm actually just pressing a button at a space where it's going to hit you, right? I'm not like making some crazy reaction whiff punish here. I'm just standing at a space where my button will reach you. Because I had committed to the drive rush, right? Like if you look at the meter situation, like I have a drive rush to give here, right? So I can continue my pressure. And so press this, and then press that, right? And that sequence will blow up like you using a light to take your turn back, right? So I just do that. So again, like if we look at the whole game here, the main difference now is that I've kind of adjusted to how you're playing your game from the last game, right? So, or last round, if you will.
Yeah. And I just am a bit slower to adjust.
Yeah, because it's hard to recognize in the moment, right? Where it's like, oh, I'm just getting hit, so I'm going to stop doing that. But like you have to also recognize that what is actually hitting me and how do I stop that from happening, right?
Yeah.
Because again, you actually do a really good job here. Once you have me in the corner here, I actually have a hard time getting out, right? This is not like I should have got out right there. I didn't. Pressure continues. Yep. And then one defensive decision gets blown up here. And then the sort of spacing ish type trap that happens there, right? So again, if I were to categorize what was kind of happening, how I'm beating you here is that like the neutral adjustments I think are happening faster on my end, right? So I'm seeing some tendency in neutral that I'm able to kind of take advantage of, and once you kind of get hit, you're not changing that tendency, right? Like, right, obviously recognizing the tendency that's getting you hit is really, really hard. Like, I'm saying this and it is super hard to do. So like, it's not like you can fix that very easily, but that is what's happening here, is that an adjustment is being made to beat your existing tendency, and you're not necessarily adjusting back to what I'm doing, right? Because what I'm doing definitely has a counter, right? Like that stand heavy kick, like what you can do is just wait, right? So
Yeah.
Let me whiff, and then you press a delay, like press the button and delay timing to beat that, right? Something like that will punish me for that. Or you go for parry, right? Like you can just hit parry because you see me doing that, and you get a light parry and potentially a throw or some sort of light conversion, right? So there are options to beat what I'm doing here. The hard part is recognizing that I'm doing that and then making the read that I'm going to do it again, right? So that's fighting games, unfortunately. So
I guess the last interaction, after like kick whiffs, like if I didn't whiff and just blocked there, then I could drive reversal after you drive rush.
Yeah. So the big reason I actually drive rush there was because I had meter, right? So look at your meter. I think it was still green. So you could
Yeah, we
derev
were
there.
both green, but you were like almost full.
Yeah, I had like maybe like half a bar down or something like that, a quarter bar, whatever. Yeah, you could derev there, and that will actually put you meter ahead and put me further away, and we go back to neutral, right? So you could do that too, because I had committed to drive rush at that point, right? I'm going to space trap. I'm going to continue pressing buttons in your face, and then I'm going to try to go for a strike throw, right? Because that's what I had the option to do. You're in the corner. I had meter. You're at a spacing where I can just kind of do the driver's cancel, and I can get my plus frames and try to win it right there, right? Like that's what I was going for. Now, of course, you end up getting hit because of the space trap deal where your light whiffs. But like you said, if you had blocked and went for a derev, or even just reversaled me or whatever, right? Defended that pressure sequence, then you have a chance of winning it, right? Because I'm an interaction away from dying too, right? It wasn't like I had a ton of health either. So, cool. So let me bring up your replay with your buddy here. Seems like this would be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, he and I play like a lot.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So it's definitely like there's layers that, like you were saying, are not apparent.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, why did that make sense? Or why did that not make sense? And it's all because they're probably playing each other. All right. So Sagat here. Let's take a look. Good slide. Okay. There's that delay option, right? So, drive rush, slide, delay. Your opponent tries to start walking backwards for some reason. There's no corner, and you tag them, right? So, this is the type of thing that only works when you've made an adjustment to what's happening here. Because, like, if he checked you with any button, like look how long it takes for this button to come out, right? So he could check you with anything from here, but he doesn't. Assuming because either he's trying to adjust what you're doing, maybe he doesn't react, whatever. But this works. So, right. So, again, you said this is like game 10 or whatever. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on in the Oki scenario. But generally speaking, you do want to make sure that you are covering the wake up button, right? So, like, if they are doing that, like normally most people's like kind of layer one offense, if you will, like the first thing you try to do is you try to enforce plus frames, right? You try to do like a light string or something else on Oki to make sure that they aren't doing a wake up jab or wake up throw, right? So they delay tech through it or block through it, whatever, but you want to make sure that, they can't press, right? So anyway, you get beat by the jab here. I'm assuming this is because they had been doing other things at this point. But you can see how the jab works, right? So, like, he actually tags you going for a throw, right? So, realistically speaking, this shouldn't have happened because if you're going for the throw here, you want to try to make that meaty, right? So, either you maybe mistimed it or whatever, but if you're going for a wake-up throw, like on Oki, then it should be a meaty throw, ideally, right? Because if they go for a immediate throw tech or a delay throw tech, it beats both of those options, right? Like, rather, it trades with both of those options, right? And if they go for, like, a jab or wake up button against a meaty throw, they get thrown, right? So, ideally, you want to make this meaty. So, it just looks like maybe mistimed or maybe you were trying to later bait something, but...
Probably a mistime. I think, in general, timing Oki stuff I'm a little bit bad at.
Yeah, like, you probably wanted to wake up throw on a meaty throw here. Meant for a manually timed one, didn't quite work out, right? So... But yeah, I think if that's the case, then that's the right idea, in my opinion, right? You're trying to go for a meaty option that prevents the wake up button, right? Because again, like instant tech, delay tech is going to trade with that, right? In terms of they tech the throw, but they should be delay teching because if you go for a meaty button, instant tech is going to lose, right? So the idea there is to ensure that they are blocking or delay teching, right? So driver's throw. Good DP. Wake up button beats the what was that? Nexus coming out? What was that?
Yeah, it was Nexus.
Yeah, okay. It was a good challenge. Yeah.
Raw Nexus.
Okay. So in that case, that was a good challenge, right? He went for something where it probably should have been meaty, but it wasn't, and you went for the challenge and it worked out. So was it correct? I mean, at this point, probably because it worked, right? So unfortunately, you don't get as big a conversion off this counter hit. That was good. So, right here, in this scenario right here, right? So, why does this work, right? So, you do a button. Space well, more or less. It spaces Sagat out. He goes for a button. That whiffs. And you just press, right? So...
I guess that's the classic heavy button into medium button.
Yeah. Because, well, in this case, I think it's because Sagat... like for whatever reason this doesn't interact with your hitbox.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know, but pretty clearly that it doesn't hit you for whatever reason, right? But that is a pretty classic thing, right? Or it's like you're minus but you're too far for the follow-up, right? And if the follow-up whiffs, you get this reward here. Go for a throw here. So this is probably what you wanted to do the first time, right?
Yeah. Oh, and then I just messed up a drive
Missed
rush.
drive rush, yeah. Okay, so what happened here? Right, so after the missed drive rush, target shot, and then you just get kneed, right? Yeah. So
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I think I get baited to roll a lot.
Oh, okay.
And, like, he's gonna fireball again, and then he doesn't fireball because he knows that I'm gonna try to roll.
Yeah, then he just target knees you on reaction, right, to the roll.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100% on reaction, right?
yeah,
Okay. So I think this is an okay option to just back up here, right? If you look, right, he's way out of range for anything, right? Like maybe a crouching medium kick from him tags you here or a sweep, but that's kind of a hard read, right? So, all right. So again, look at the space between you guys, right? This is huge, a lot of space. Like huge in the sense that this is a lot of space between you, right? It's a spacing where Sagat can kind of throw fireballs, but it is a little close. He ideally wants to be backed up a little bit, but it is an awkward space, right? Because neither of your buttons will really reach, right? So
yeah.
like you can't whiff punish someone if they don't push, right? So if they don't press. So if you're standing outside of their effective range, there's no reason for you to press, right? Especially if you're outside of your range too. Like if you press here, like to what end, right? That said,
Yeah.
at least as a poke. Now, if you're trying to bait something, like you jab, like for a lot of shotos, they'll do like a jab or something like that, try to get you to jump just because it looks like a fireball or whatever. That's different, right? You're trying to feint into something, right? So Sagat here could like jab or like do something else to try to get you to jump. Now that kind of whiffing I think is okay, right? Because you're trying to bait something that's intentional. But unintentional whiffs are never good, right? So classic air to air.
He
Right?
is gonna ODDP after this. I feel it.
Yeah. Boom.
God damn it.
Yeah. So, that's what it is, right? So you could do a delay option here, right? A lot of times areas people do match DP. That's just what it is. So in terms of like, how do I stop that craziness? Delay button, right? So delay jab or shimmy, right, was usually pretty good. If you both like to do nothing, at worst you're both standing there doing nothing, right? Like maybe you back up a little bit and you don't take the ODDP, right? So ouch. Okay. Tries to get you to roll again, successfully does it, and then this time gets you with the forward light kick, right? Or is it just light kick, I think, right?
It was the forward leg kick.
This is forward light kick, right? Yeah. So gets a small conversion off that, right? Because counter hit. All right. +5 situation for you. Good stuff, right? So you take your turn back. You punish for this, right? It's good. Okay, reset.
Yeah, I've been messing around with Elena resets, just like sparingly. Like I did it to you a couple times too.
Yeah, and he got me, right? Like that's good.
Yeah.
But it's good to sprinkle that stuff in to try to adjust to like someone that's playing quote unquote respectfully, right? Because they're waiting for you to press a button into some plus frames or whatever. But if your opponent notices you doing that and they start reversaling you or like mashing against that, then you do have to be careful, right?
Well, it is mash safe, but yeah, DI or reversal. Or
Yeah, they have some other option to get away from it, right? So, get checked. Okay, now we're at a kind of an awkward space again. Ooh. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
unfortunate. Okay, so you got the knockdown here. Right, you have an Oki situation. Guess for
I
game.
was so scared he was gonna press since I was at like nothing as well.
Yeah. Go for a shimmy here, which I don't disagree with, right? Like he reversed you earlier.
Yeah.
So you get the block here, right? The block jab. And then you get beats as they press
We
the medium
both did
punch.
crouching medium, but his is just faster.
Yeah. Well, you pressed a little late too, right? So
Oh, okay.
so see that? Right. So
Gotcha. So
yeah.
yeah, I think light strings. You guys were talking about it, you and Pepsi.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's just hard for me to realize when it's over in situations where like it wasn't point blank to start.
Yeah, that could be tough, right? Especially for Sagat, like who has kind of longer jabs, right? So he's jabbing you from
Yeah.
like a mile away, technically, right? Like this is super far. So like, it can be hard to it can be hard to take a turn back here sometimes, right? But if it's point blank, definitely don't want to press here because you get frame trapped, and that's something you have to adjust to. But here, I actually don't mind you trying to get this button in. Right, I have
Just
less
be a
issues.
little bit faster, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so here's what I'll say, right? Is that if you notice this range here, right? So like from here, and you recognize that the second light is gonna whiff, your opponent probably also recognizes that's gonna whiff, right? So they don't do anything here. So you could just like mash out, like if you block it like this distance, you could try to mash something, right? So like,
Yeah. Wrong character.
oh, you're player one. Okay. I didn't see that coming.
It'd probably be standing medium, or
Or stand light kick maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So taking a turn back aggressively there could be the
Yeah.
thing, right? But it is space dependent, right? So like if Sagat is point blank and does that, then it's really a hard
Then it's
read
a
on your
trap.
part. Yeah, then then it could potentially be a frame trap, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of that. But at the space he was at, right, like here, there's no threat of a throw because he has to walk up to do it. And the second follow-up light is going to whiff, right? So another light here would likely whiff. So take your turn back, correct, but you're a little bit late, right? So, but the hard part is that you have to recognize that right here.
Like he can't do another jab there.
Yeah, you have to recognize it there, right? So like from here, right? And like, look how close that was, right? That was like 4-ish frames. But being able to recognize the space here and then just mashing something against this here because of the space, like that's ideally what you do. Now it's really hard, and I don't think like if this was me, I probably would have died to this too, right? Like try to do a delay button and get hit. But if you're recognizing that your opponent is doing this, then that is the option against this, right? Because if you look, the actual button he presses here is like 7 frames or whatever, right? So the gap is like 8 frames.
Yeah.
Right, so he's -1. Right, now if he pressed right away, that's an 8-frame gap before his crouch or medium punch comes out, right? So you can press anything.
Curious. Sorry, would you be willing to test something? I'm
Yeah.
curious if background house would work here.
Let's try it. So yeah,
Okay, yeah, I would have.
yeah, it would work too. But that works because the spacing causes the whiff, right? So you see the punish
Yeah.
counter there, right? So like that could be an option for you as well if your opponent is doing sort of crouching jab into crouching medium, right? Because that's a huge gap, right? 7-frame gap. Normally you do that point blank to try to bait like delay options, right? So like bait delay tech, bait delay button or whatever. But doing that at range probably is mostly because his second light was going to whiff, right? If he went for the more lights, it would have whiffed. So he tried to press a button that kept him in range, and there's a large gap there, right? So like he would have lost to the mash in that sense, right? So
Yeah.
but
for
that
sure.
said, if we look at the game, right? So obviously there's some reads happening here as well, right? Like the ODDP and some other stuff that happens here. But you do a decent job applying some pressure, getting them in the corner. And then you kind of get hit here. But I know the idea was for you to throw. Then you get cornered, and then you kind of have to deal with Sagat. Get DP'd. Good whiff punish here. You get baited on the roll.
Yeah.
No DDP here.
He does that almost every time. I fall for it almost every time.
It's hard to not, right? It's hard to like. This is the time he's not going to do it, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
right. Tense situation. Get caught jumping. Yeah, gets through game situation, and then he's able to button you, right? So like, that was a very close round, and I think that like again, you guys have been playing a lot, so there's a lot of layers and reads and stuff happening, but I think like you're doing an okay job of staying at a spacing that allows you to play the game the way you want to play it. The hard part is that like if you stand too far away in those scenarios, then your roll gets baited, or like Sagat just wins because he has a fireball, right? So but like the neutral interaction stuff, that was mostly fine. I mean, you made some decisions that didn't quite work out, or you pressed a little bit late, but like I think like again, 10 games in, some things are going to be a little bit wonky from like someone looking at the
Yeah.
as a first game, right? So right, like right there, right? Like this type of thing, normally you'd see a check, right? So you see some sort of button come out or whatever, but I'm guessing he did something to prevent you that discourages you from doing this, right? So, but you do challenge when he walks away, backwards. So I think that's okay. Ouch. Top press in here.
Yeah, he was doing medium earlier.
Oh, so you were trying to challenge, and then now he switched to the frame trap
Yeah, he
version. Yeah.
switched yeah.
Okay. Is this gonna whiff punish? Pretty good, right?
So
So
he's crouching.
yeah.
Elena sucks.
Right. So this is good though, right? So you recognize the spacing and it whiffs, right? So that's good. And this is a straight whiff punish, right? Like look at you reacted to the button being pressed, you saw it whiff, and you reacted with this, right? But unfortunately, like you said, Elena sucks, right? So unfortunately he's crouching, and that target combo, this is target combo, right? I think it doesn't quite work out for you, right? So that said, given your meter situation and all that, a drive rush cancel might have been the right thing to do here, given that it would have gotten you out of the corner, get a conversion, side switch potentially, right? So
I can't cancel that unless the target combo.
oh, that's right. Doesn't have a cancelable low forward, right?
Yeah, it has to be the follow up.
Yeah. So is there another option here, you think?
I could have maybe. I bet heavy punch would with punish here.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't. Maybe heavy kick.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get like something like this,
You
right?
can do her.
Yeah.
It's Odie Rhino Horn.
Oh, okay.
Odie quarter circle forward.
Yeah.
Kick.
But you get a conversion from that, right? So
Yeah.
something like that. So just consider that as what you do in that. So now what you did, I think, was totally fine. Like you landed a button.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out because Tarkon whiffs on crouchers. But like the point here was that your opponent whiffed in your face and you were able to whiff punish that, right? So this is actually pretty poor on the Sagat's portion here because Sagat controls all the space, right? So he has zero excuses as to why he's whiffing, right?
Yeah.
Like, if he's trying to get you to press, maybe, but like, there's no reason for them to do that. He should just walk up and press this in your face, right? Actually get you to block this, right? So he controls all the space. He's able to adjust it, so he should be the one doing that, right? So anyway, you take advantage of that. And now you have space to work with, right? Now you can play footsies again, right? So nice try. It was close. You saw it a little late, but it was close. All right, so here, right? If you look, your opponent has whiffed like 4 buttons in a row, right? So you get that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So like what I would be thinking here would be trying to pay attention to like the spacing where your opponent is starting to press those buttons, right? Now, of course, again, 10 games deep, I get it. But from like a observer standpoint, your opponent is pressing buttons when you walk into a space where he thinks the button will reach, right? So now he's a little bit off in terms of spacing, right? Like he's not quite like close enough, right? A lot of like this is too far for sure, right? No reason for him to press there. But you, if you recognize this, might be able to get him with something here, right? So maybe not.
Forward heavy punch, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's too. Yeah,
It's
so
too slow.
it's too slow, and he's too far, right?
Yeah.
But the idea there though is that you noticing the whiffs happening, right? So
Maybe slide.
it's like to work. But yeah, at any rate, like if you start noticing your opponent whiffing like this, right? Like they're whiffing. This is a pretty long range normal, right? Stand medium kick or whatever it is. It's pretty long range normal, right? It's up there in terms of Sagat's length, if you will. And he's whiffing from pretty far away, right? So like ideally what you would do is you try to stand a little bit closer then, right? So like try to get a sense of like when he's pressing when you walk into that space and try to hover just outside of that. And then from there you can whiff punish this pretty easily, right? It's like if you were standing like right here where my mouse cursor is, like Elena's head was here, this is an easy whiff punish, right? Like forward heavy punch into Odie Rhino Horn, whatever, right? Right, same thing here, right? So this one actually I think is easier to punish, right? This should land. So if I take like say that's 18-ish frames, so say something like that, say 19 frame recovery or 19 frame reaction, which is pretty reasonable in my opinion if you're looking for it. Right. So
Yeah.
like that's what'll happen to you at a higher level if you do with that, right? So like if you whiff those buttons, like if you whiff it once, you're gonna get hit for it, right? So the counter to like the shoto gameplay, if you will, which is just space control for the most part, is to try to stand at a space where their button will whiff, but it looks like it won't, if that makes sense, right? You're trying to dance just on that razor's edge of like, oh, I'm in range, now I'm not in range, right? Now, Elena has some pretty long range buttons too, right? She has some good buttons, right? That you can contest with. So the idea would be for you to try to understand your spacing and understand where your opponent wants to stand to get them to press, right? To get them to whiff. Because most people, once you get to this level, they're generally not just like throwing buttons out all the time, right? And they're generally not potentially whiff punishing you on your whiffs, right? So your idea would be you want to be whiff punishing them, if that makes sense, right? Because once you start whiff punishing them, they'll be hesitant to press because they've been getting whiff punished, right? So now you can walk up and press your buttons, you can start your pressure, drive rush, whatever, right? But if you're stopping them from pressing in the first place, that's how you open up that avenue of like what's happening, right? So like when we played, it might have felt at some point that you couldn't press anything, right? Like, oh, I'm getting whiff punished or I'm getting stuffed or whatever. And then now you're hesitant to press, and all of a sudden I just walk up and throw you, right? Or I walk up and do something like absurd, like a, stand medium punch or something like short range, whatever, right? And it's because I'm taking advantage of your hesitancy to press because I had previously stopped you from doing that, right? Now, if I don't do that, and I don't successfully whiff punish you, then you're incentivized to just continue pressing, right? There's no reason for you to stop what you're doing if it's always winning, right? So anyway, that's what happens here is that your opponent was whiffing here, and ideally you try to whiff punish one of those things. Now, some of that's just practice, right? You have to get used to like Sagat, you have to get used to like your buttons and like how long things take and all that. But I promise, as long as you are paying attention to that, it gets easier, right? Not easy, but easier, right? So anyway, oh, you tried a little late. It's okay. All right. Big punish opportunity. Oh, darn.
Yeah, it was space that I would have to like queue up. I guess I could queue up a drive rush there because I have like,
14.
And drive.
Yeah. And you have a drive rush cancel in the tank here, right? And it's a 14 frame punish, right? So.
Oh, I didn't realize that was 14. Oh, because he usually presses. So
yeah. So here it's
usually does Nexus.
I think it was a turret combo. Right, so this is a unconfirmed turret combo that was on block. So if he does this, right, because this is the, if you do this on hit, obviously this is confirmable, but it looks like he made a mistake, right? So this is 100% punishable.
Gotcha. Then I could have done a bigger punish for sure.
Yeah, it's tough because I think Elena's jab punishes, like 4-frame punishes like that, need to be point blank for you to get like the DP after, right, or whatever the follow up is. Yeah. So.
Or you have to cancel it at the first active frame.
Yeah, it should be tough, right? No.
Yeah.
But again, your opponent whiffs, right? So here. He could have ODDP'd you again. You didn't believe he was going to do it. And it worked out. But here, right, you can see that your opponent is whiffing buttons, right? So they don't want you to be in their space, so you can take advantage of that, right? At that time, they covered you successfully. Mostly because you dashed up, right? So.
Yeah.
The dash commission, or sorry, the forward heavy kick, right, gets stuffed by their stand medium kick, right? So. I thought it was a dash, actually, but it looks like you pressed the button.
It just moves you forward.
Yeah. But if you look at the spacing here, again, right? Sagat's actually, this spacing is actually good for both your buttons, I think, right? So you're doing a forward heavy kick, right? So, like, I don't blame either of you for pressing here. It's just unfortunate that his button was a little bit faster. So that was good right there. Not a huge reward, obviously, but this is what you want to be doing. Right? Like, that was good.
Yeah, though, now I'm going to look for heavy kick there.
Yeah, yeah. If you see that, I think you can do it. All right, so that was good, right? So if you look at this... I'm assuming that he had been going for the kind of shimmy type stuff after Drive Rush, right? So Drive Rush does that, +1. And then he backs up and tries to press the button, right? So, well, now I can confirm. Unfortunately, he burns out. Or fortunately for him, fortunately for you, he burns out. But unfortunate for you that he burned out to keep himself plus or keep himself safe, right?
Yeah.
So you can't press here. Or you can. No, you can't. You cannot press here. Because he is +1, right? So gets the conversion here. Does not kill you until level 3. Probably because he didn't think you would do it.
I think I do panic TP. Oh no. I
Yeah,
didn't.
you take the throw. And there's the
There
DP,
it
right?
is.
So, and I say this a lot is like, should you reversal in a situation? Yeah, probably. Like, it's not always wrong, but it is obvious that it's going to happen, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to die either way. So you have to make a decision there. Reversaling earlier is probably better, in my opinion. You're dead either way, right? So like, if you reversal the previous interaction, if you reversal here, you would have gotten out of it, right? But if he if he shimmied though, you're dead anyway, right? So, and actually from here too, like you reversal right here, potentially. But yeah, from here, obviously, it's pretty obvious you're gonna reversal, right? So shimmy comes out, and then you get killed there, right? So, but like if you look, really, I think what got you here was that there are some conversions that Sagat did that did more damage than, you know, you probably should have taken in that scenario, right? Like that was a trade that did like 20% or something, right? So
Yeah. Scott's trades are so dumb.
But if you
being a bit more mindful of the whiffs.
yeah, that's really what it is, right? So like as soon as you recognize your opponent whiffing like this, you can kind of get them to press, right? You just have to make it look like you're close, right? Because realistically speaking, again, like this is pretty far, right? Like this whiff right here, like your hitbox is like here. So this is kind of far when it comes to like whiffing, right? So that just tells me that like there's some spacing things that they need to clean up here, that they're allowing this kind of space to exist when they whiff, right? And as soon as you recognize this as like an opponent, it's easier to punish, right? Because it's like, oh, they're going to press, right? So I don't have to react to the button being out. You actually react to the action, like right here. It's like, oh, I see that. It's going to whiff. Right, now press, right? And then if you think about how long this actually is for you to react, this is like 18, 19 frames. Well within the realm of possibility for most people to react to, right? If not everybody that plays fighting games at this level anyway, right? So you don't need like godlike reactions for that. But what you do need is recognition of your opponent's tendency to whiff in that position, right? So like, oh, the spacing they're going to stand at, it might whiff, or it's going to whiff. I see the button coming out. They can't move while they're pressing the button, so like the range is now set. Now, is it going to hit me or not? If not, I'm going to react to the button, right? And that's something you'll just have to recognize from opponents, right? Is that situation. Because, like, again, whiffing buttons here. Like, this is even further, right? This one's egregious, I think. Like, I don't know if they're expecting you to dash or jump or something, but, like, this preemptive button here with a medium, this is really far, right? So,
yeah.
Again, far. But anyway. Let's play out anyway. So then, you know, there's some whiffs here. You get some kind of poor punishes on some of the situations here. Still healthy in terms of life lead.
That's probably what he was expecting that time he whiffed it.
Yeah, like expecting you to press. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is something that I think is a bit dangerous when it comes to the neutral game, is like expecting your opponent to press in this scenario here, like from that far away.
Yeah.
Because most people won't, right? There's no reason for you to press from that far away if you're still gonna whiff, right?
The risk reward just is too imbalanced.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like you are really you're literally putting yourself out, like a limb out, if you will, right? Whatever that saying is, but you're literally doing that for no reason, right? Because again, most players as they get better press less, right? Because there's not a whole compelling reason to whiff a button, right? Especially because the way hurtboxes work in this game, ranges and all that, like hurtboxes linger forever for a lot of these moves, and they're extended, right? So like whiffing a button from far away puts you in a position where like a button that should have no business hitting you might hit you, and then you have to deal with that, right? So you know, press with more intention, right? Press like spaced correctly. So and then the DP, right? So again, I think like when it comes to neutral, I think that's kind of where you need to be now, is that like you need to identify what your opponent is doing when you walk into their space. Of like their, say, like to keep it simple, take like their longest range poke, right? So like for Sagat, it's probably like stand medium kick or something like that. Pay attention to what happens when you walk into and out of that range, right? So if they press, if they block, if they jump, if they move forward, fireball, whatever, right? Like they should be, there's some sort of reaction. Maybe they don't do anything, right? Maybe they just block. But there should be some sort of reaction that comes out of walking into that space, right? Because most people don't like that, right? Like if I walk into your space, like as Ken or whatever, you're like, I don't want him standing there. I don't want to get stand heavy punch, so I'm going to do something potentially, right? So the idea would be for you to pay attention to what happens in that scenario and then apply a counter to it, right? In this case, because he was whiffing those buttons, you would walk into and out of those ranges, and then you would just whiff punish accordingly, right? Whatever button makes sense for Elena to whiff punish with, right? And then once they stop pressing, then they'll adjust to do something else, right? Maybe you walk in their space, maybe they don't do anything, right? Maybe they wait for you to get closer, maybe they walk up and challenge, right? Maybe they do something else. And then from there, you just continue adjusting, right? To like what's happening in neutral, right? And these adjustments are happening like interaction, right? So like one interaction, maybe he's trying to cover attack, you walk in. The next one, he's walking up and trying to hit you, right? Like that's how fast things can change. So you just kind of have to pay attention to like the tendency, right? Because remember, humans aren't random, right? If humans fall into patterns, it may not be predictable, but there is probably a pattern that exists that you can try to exploit, right? And take advantage of. And then the other tendency too, human tendency is if something works, do it again. If something doesn't work, they probably won't do that option again, right? So like, that's you take that into account with what you're seeing, and then you can start making some educated guesses on what you think your opponent will do next, and then adjust to that, right? So like once they stop doing option A, start doing option B, and so on and so forth, right? And again, this is game 10 or whatever of like a long set, so I totally get like maybe things don't quite line up the way they should, but I'm sure that they made sense at the time because that's what you're adjusting to, right? It's just that in a longer set, you have more time to adjust, especially when it's casual, because the set's not really going to end. Potentially, you could keep playing forever, right? And you can keep adjusting. But in a ranked set, in a bracket match, a first to 3, first to 5, like, BLKO or like whatever competitive thing you're playing, maybe it's Fight Rise, whatever, it's shorter than first to 20, right? It's shorter than a first to 10. Most of the time it's first to 2. Maybe a grand finals would be first to 3, or like the finals would be first to 3. Maybe if it's like an online tournament, first 3, but like that's a really short amount of time to adjust to whatever's happening, right? So you kind of have to pay closer attention. And I think that's kind of where your game needs to go from here, because I think a lot of the other aspects of your game are good enough, right? Like it's like your combos are good when you land them. Like corner pressure felt pretty good. You're able to control space pretty well. It's just that some of the neutral tendencies that you have may get exposed, and you're not able to adjust to that exposure. And on the flip side, I probably have neutral tendencies that you can expose or exploit, and maybe you're not seeing them and taking advantage of that, right? So it's like that. I think that's where that has to be, because again, like anti-air seemed okay, right? You're picking good options to wake up from, except for shimmy. You got shimmied a couple of times, but that's part of the conditioning that I did. But otherwise, like a lot of that stuff looks okay. It's really just now you're at a point where neutral game is going to start to matter a lot more, because everyone has optimal combos now, right? 1600, you whiff 3 buttons and you're dead, basically, right? Most of the time against most players at this point. So like being able to grind those small advantages in neutral to be able to open up the other stuff later, like be able to open up with other stuff later, is how you end up being consistent overall, right? You take the minimal risk, like most stable-ish way to do it, which is play the footsies game, play neutral, try to land with punishes, try to cover and stuff what they're doing, and that allows you to do the other stuff after, like the Oki scenarios and like the conditioning and all that. All is predicated on your ability to control that space and induce whiffs or control the neutral game, right? So, but yeah, I think that's what you have to start doing, is like looking at replays, seeing these neutral interactions. Like I'm sure like at the time you didn't even notice that they whiffed a bunch of times, right? It's my guess would be you're playing the game, you're trying to pay attention to like, oh, my meter, everything else, right? But like this sequence right here, right? Like I immediately was like, oh, he's whiffing a ton, so then we can adjust for that, right? And that's kind of where your thinking needs to start going to, is like, oh, I'm seeing this tendency, now I should try to recognize how do I counter that, or how do I exploit it more appropriately, right? Like not just the counter, because that's part of it, but like how do I induce that situation again such that I could counter it, right? So cool, man. Yeah, any questions? I mean, I think that's where it needs to go from here, to be honest. Like I think the rest of your game is pretty solid, so
Yeah, no, that does sound kind of like what I've been struggling with, and I know I play Shog kind of a lot,
Hmm.
and he'll like give me a lot of tips, but it's sometimes hard to put that into practice.
Oh, a lot of times too, like the tips you get from people are not generic in that sense, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, if I do leap from here, I'm at this trim advantage, so your counters are XYZ. Well, that's great, but that doesn't solve me not being able to stop the leap, right? Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't solve me trying to stop the neutral skip, right? In that sense. So the advice is, while correct, not generic enough to apply to like someone else, right? Like you can't quite DI it unless you racked early, I think. And like there are other situations where it's like, yeah, this counter does make sense against this character and situation, but it's not a generic enough thing to be like, okay, I can apply that to everything, right? So, but yeah, I mean, otherwise, it can be tough. It can be tough because again, it's like, oh, how do you beat me? Well, this is how I play. This is how you can beat me. But again, is it generic enough to apply to everybody?
yeah.
Not always, right? So, cool. Do you want to run it back? You got time? Another first
Sure.
three?
Yeah,
Feel
yeah.
like it? Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, specifically, Shog actually did go over a bit of this
Mm-hmm.
neutral stuff. He said that I should focus on whiff punishing more because that's a part of my game that's like
Oh,
pretty
oh,
good.
okay, yeah,
And
yeah. Schogberg. Okay.
Shog,
For
yeah,
some reason, I was thinking Show, and that's an Aki player, right? So I was
no,
thinking it might be
no,
something else.
no.
But against Schogberg, yeah.
The
So against
the
Schogberg
2K
in
Cammy
particular,
player.
yeah, against Schogberg in particular, this is his bread and butter. Like a lot of what he
Yeah,
does is to beat you is he's beating you in this aspect of the game, right?
yeah,
Where he's like getting you to like he's applying pressure to you by chaining lights or controlling. Like he'll control the neutral game with Cammy's like buttons, right? And then once he has you like in an Oki situation, he'll put you in a situation where you have to make a decision, and then he'll make a adjustment to the decision you're making, right?
yeah,
So, yeah, that's how he wins, though, right? That's how he beats you. Is that he beats you in the neutral game, and then in Oki scenarios, he'll just take like a smaller kind of Oki setup, and then eventually, once you start getting more desperate and guessing, that's when he beats you, right? So,
yeah,
but yeah, in this game, I would say try to whiff less and pay attention to like what happens when you walk into and out of my space. Right, that's what I would do. Because yeah, like he's totally right. Like the whiff punishing aspect is probably where you as a player need to get better. So
yeah.
nice. Uh oh. You might have went for
And
something pretty big there.
yeah,
Oh. Oh. Oh.
nice.
Stole that one, but I had to really kind of force the crouch medium kick, right? So.
Yeah,
But yeah, you kind of see like if you're paying attention to where I'm pressing my button and what's causing me to press, like you can kind of hopefully be able to discern a pattern. No. Didn't dry rush. Oh, nice. Whew. That was good. That was good. Good challenge.
You know, you always throw 2 fireballs.
Yeah. I tend to do that. Like I'll throw a heavy one and then a light one. It's a bad habit. But from that distance, it's like, what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Guess I'll spend it.
Makes sense to me. Even if you lose the round, you still have a chance to get a level 3 or level 2.
I screwed that up.
Aww. Oh, I tried to sweep. That was good. I thought you'd back up. That's pretty good. I had half a mind of DP, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I've been so upset.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Man, I'm not used to people who can crosscut, to be honest.
Well, it took me a long time to get there. Aw. Go so far. Oh, nice.
I think there, I just need to like actually apply pressure.
Yeah. I think like once you have me kind of moving back toward the corner, don't be afraid to do whatever Elena's like distance closing thing is, right? She can roll or she can do like a drive rush or something like that, if you can.
Yeah.
So like you can't let me stand up for free, I guess is what I'm getting at. Oh, got clipped walking back.
Yeah.
Oh, let's reach. Oh, oh no.
And I have the walk forward.
Yeah, that's that space trap with Sand Heavy Punch, right? So once you stop trying to take a turn back with like that medium button, you try to do something
Yeah.
else, that's when I can do that, right? So, but you saw that was much better overall. I think you're a lot more deliberate in neutral, and it was almost to the extent of like, oh, what are my setups? Like, what do I land? What do I do again?
Yeah.
But obviously that's just you to play more in that way. But like since you're obviously trying to do something new, it's hard to do everything else. But it was a really good improvement in like that game, the second game you took, right, where I think you recognized what I was trying to do in some scenarios where it's like, oh, he's gonna stand heavy kick from here, he's standing a bunch from there, and then you kind of walked up and either walked up and stuffed it, or you were able to whiff punish it in some cases, right, because you saw it coming. So like
Yeah.
that kind of thing, that kind of intentional gameplay from there is how you're gonna get better in the neutral game, right? And I think that's probably where you need to go from here. And you saw the immediate effect, I think, where it's like, okay, I'm gonna hyper focus on this one aspect of it, and I'd hazard a guess that the game probably felt a little bit slower once you were in that state, right? Where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I see this happening, I can see the button coming out, right? And I'm paying attention to spacing, paying attention to models, paying attention to like what's happening, and you can actually start to notice like the startup of moves, right? And when they're gonna come. So, yeah, cool, man. That's some good stuff for sure. Yeah, that's all I would say for now. Anything else you want to ask? You think about?
Yeah, no, that's a lot. Oh, I guess one small question that's completely unrelated to what we just talked about. When you're playing a character with a throw loop,
Yeah.
how often do you go for it?
When I have one, all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause I was playing Ryu,
Mhm.
and his is like so easy. Like his throw is, he's in your face the whole time.
Yeah, there's no one frame link. You just jab and then it's auto timed for the next throw. Yeah, so when Ken had his throw loop in season 1, it was a cornerstone of a lot of Ken players' offense, right? Because he's able to threaten the strike throw. So like easily too, right? It wasn't like, oh, he threw me, and now I have to play rock paper scissors. It was like, oh, he threw me, and like he's like point blank in my face. He can do meaty something or other, right? So now that it's at where it is now, which is the actual throw loop is a one frame link if you back roll in the corner. So if you didn't know that against Ken, if he throws you in the corner, if you back roll, his walk up throw is now a one frame link. So he has to be on top of it to do it. Yeah, I don't know why they just didn't nerf it outright. Whatever, right? Capcom, whatever you have to do, right? So if you don't back roll, I can walk up. Now, to answer your question, how often should you do it? As often as your opponent lets you get away with it, in my opinion.
Okay.
So like if you're doing a throw loop and your opponent just refuses to tech, throw them 10 times. Right?
Gotcha.
If they're not like the point of the throw loop is to force your opponent to make a decision, right? So they took the throw, great. The lowest damage outcome is to take another throw. The highest damage outcome would normally be to delay tech, right? Or to not take the throw, reversal or whatever, right? So when for the opponent doesn't make sense for them to make that decision, right? And you as the offensive player, you could just do either, right? Throw loop, threaten, throw loop, whatever, right? Again, like what I'll say is that if it's working, keep doing it. So if they want to take 10 throws, do it, right? Continue to abuse that throw loop because it is a big part of Ryu's offense right in the corner. So if he throws you in the corner, you have to guess on if he's going to do meaty stand heavy punch, if he's going to do meaty solar plexus, right? Or not maybe solar plexus, but like meaty stand heavy punch, or some other button, crouching meaty punch maybe, or some other setup that allows him to get plus frames, where again you have to deal with strike throw, or you delay tech and take the throw a second, third, fourth, fifth time, right? So throw loops are are part of your offensive kit if you have one. So it would be like me telling you as a Elena player to how often do you use roll, right? How often do you use other options in your toolkit? Use them as often as it makes sense to do, right? If anyone says otherwise, it's like, well, they're not really playing the game, right? They need to be guessing on defense, right? You can't just take the throw every time, even though it is like the least damaging option from like a pure kind of games theory standpoint. But fighting games are not perfect theory, right? Fighting games are people doing what they think will work, what might work, and all that stuff, right? So, but yeah, answer your question as often as you can get away with it, because it's free damage, right? Like they can take 3 throws, and that's a shimmy, right? And there it is, right? So, yeah, that's what I'd say. Use it as long as your opponent shows that they can't deal with it effectively.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I was just curious because playing Ryu has like opened my eyes to how easy it is and why it's so like common.
Yeah. Because it's really strong, right? Because like when you're on the receiving end of that, you have to make a defensive decision every time, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't make a defensive decision and you just continue to block or be passive, you could potentially die because you did nothing and you get thrown over and over again. But the upside is that it does take 10 of these to kill you, right? Or normally, say 7, 8 of these to kill you. So
Yeah.
are you going to be wrong 8 times in a row? That's up to you, right?
Yeah.
So eventually you do have to make a decision, right? Whatever that decision happens to be, to get out of that situation. And again, like they changed throw techs last patch, right? So if you tech a throw, it's actually pretty advantageous now because you gain a bunch of meter back, you gain more space, right? All that stuff. So throw techs are actually a little bit better now
Yeah.
than they used to be, right? So something to also weigh in, right? It's not just like the life savings, it's or life total savings. It's also about like, oh, I potentially could gain a bar or 2 back from this delay tech, right? Not only am I going to get out of the throw loop, I'm going to get some meter back and get some space back, right? Like all the good things that happen with the throw tech has to weigh into that decision too. It's never just about standing back up or just about the damage, right? Or the life total. So, and super meter too.
Yeah, that
and
makes
again,
sense.
super. So, but yeah, if they can't deal with it, use it. Like,
Yeah,
why do
which
anything
is,
different?
I
Right?
guess
So-
fighting games.
yeah, 100%, right? Like if I found the most broken button in the world that existed and it actually beat everything else, why would you ever do anything else in a fighting game, right? So,
Yeah.
same deal.
Well, and I mean, like, even when we were playing the other day, you would just heavy punch over and over again because I
Mhm.
couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and with Ken's heavy punch in particular, it becomes a mix up, right? Like how Ken is mixing you up even though you're +2. Ken is -2 after you block a heavy punch. But for some reason you're guessing, right? Should I throw a button? Should I take my turn back? Should I do XYZ thing, right? And that's kind of Street Fighter 6 in a lot of ways, is that there's not a lot of buttons that have plus frames, right? The ones that do have plus frames typically are like closer pressure buttons, like Sagat stand medium punch or like Bison back heavy kick, like those types of things that have plus frames. And they're kind of pressure tools, right? But like in neutral, especially for shotos, a lot of their buttons are not plus, right? Actually, all Ken's are minus, except for one, which is 0 on block, right? So what he does essentially is control the space to try to get you to do something in reaction or on reaction to whatever he's doing, and then you take advantage of it, right? And that's kind of shoto gaming, if you will. Or like, Ken does this, Ryu does this, Luke does this to some extent, right? All Cammy especially, right? Like if you play Shogberg's Cammy, this is exactly what he does to you, right? Is that he puts you in a position where you have to make a decision on what your next button's going to be, and the way he structures his offense is to beat the next button you're going to press, right? It's like, oh, I did this light string, your button will whiff if you press, and I'm just going to autopilot into this thing and blow you up for it, right? And that happens all the time, right? And he plays a very clean neutral game too, right? Like if you watch him play, he doesn't press a lot of buttons, right? Like he does tend to walk up to you into your space to try to get you to do something, but like he's able to press a minimal amount of buttons to control the space, and then once he's in your face, that's when he starts doing things, right? But like in neutral, he whiffs very, very rarely, right? Like it's hard to whiff punish him. And this is why, right? He's paying attention to spacing, he's paying attention to your tendencies, and he's watching to see what you're gonna do, right? Like he's very deliberate when it comes to like button presses and that type of thing. So it's very difficult to get him to whiff. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, right? And if you ask him, I'm sure he would say the same thing. But if you're being intentional about when you press and you're paying attention to your spacing and you're paying attention to what your opponent's doing, it gets easier and easier to not whiff, if that makes sense, right? So
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
cool, man. Anything else you can think of?
No, thank you so
All right,
much.
cool.
Yeah, definitely gonna work on some of this. I know that this stuff is like the hard stuff to work on. But
This is where you're at like 1600 now, 1650 probably, like in that range now. So it's where it starts to really matter for sure, because people are definitely making a lot less mistakes overall, right? Like people can hit confirm things. People, for the most part, spacing is okay. I mean, obviously they could be everyone's spacing can be improved, but like if you make a mistake at this level, you will die, right? And I'm sure you've killed people. You've killed plenty of people doing the same thing, right? Oh, they made a mistake against your Elena, and then bam, right? They take 5,000 damage or whatever, and they're dead, right? So same deal. It's just that now the mistakes are no longer super obvious. It's not just like, oh, they whiffed the DP. Now it's like, oh, they whiffed the crouching medium punch at this spacing because they thought I'm walking forward, right? Like that's such a small thing and such a subtle thing. But these are now the mistakes you're capitalizing on because there's so few now, right? So, yeah, good stuff, man. This is, I mean, I fully expect that when we do this next, you're going to whip my ass, because if you're doing this well with Elena, it's really hard to stop. So,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to get some games later.
For sure. Cool, man. If nothing else, call it there.
Yeah, have a good night.
Yeah, take care. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Shut Up. Blah, 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 blah. Hope you guys doing well. I run this through the Fire Rise Discord. So Fire Rise is a fighting community focused on fighting games, Street Fighter 6. They do bi-weekly tournaments. There's one fight stand series. There's actually one earlier tonight. I think they're back. So it's basically a 7-round Swiss tournament, rank separated. Most people are master these days. So that's just, it is what it is, right? It's a good time, hang out in voice. There's team battle after, right after you play your round robins. I think there's like an upper bracket, lower bracket now. It's been a while since I've had a chance to participate, but I think that's what it is now. They also do community showcase events through the Urge to Fight series. I think there's one happening later this month, I want to say. Check the Discord to see when the events are. I should be paying attention to that. But yeah, there should be one coming up soon. I think they do them every quarter. So the community showcase events to show off the community, people that have been doing well in the community, come up and comers. They get to play on stream. They get the stats mod for their exhibition matches. It's a good time. Also BLKO. So BLKO signups just went out today. There is a waiting list for that. So BLKO, if you don't know, is a big league KO. It's a league format. You get put into a 8-person pod or pool. And it's rank separated, and you play all first to fives, a 7-round Swiss over the course of 4 weeks, right? So you do 2 matches a week, 1 match at the last week, and some makeups if you need to. All first to fives, and then if you do well, there's a postseason. So top people from each pod go in, or each pool go into a postseason bracket. It's a lot of fun. It's very popular. Good way to get a lot of matches with good players. Get first to fives in a tournament or a sweaty setting, which isn't always the case when you're playing casually. So it's a good time for that. The signups did just go out today, and I think they're full in registration, but there is a wait list. And if there's enough interest in the wait list, meaning like it's full or there's at least 8 players, I think, in the wait list, they'll add another pool. So again, it's not closed out. Like if you're interested in this format, please take a look at the Fire Rise Discord rather, and join up there. Join the wait list so that the TOs know there's interest. You go from there. Also part of the Newbie Fight Club. So Newbie Fight Club is a fighting community focused on the getting new players into the game. Mostly Street Fighter 6 at this point because that's the main fighting game everyone plays. They do play other games though. If you're interested in 3D fighters, I think people still play Tekken, but I'm not 100% sure. They do lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Mondays are Modern Mondays. So if you're interested in Modern and want to play Modern, come by, play Modern. You don't have to play Modern, but it is kind of like the theme, if you will. Wednesdays are their newbie nights. So if you're new to the game, want to get games with folks and with other folks around the same level, like newer players, Wednesday nights are the nights to come in. A lot of folks, we all go on MVC, we all watch the games, we get to chat and talk about what's happening on screen and all that stuff. Fridays tend to be like an open lobby night. They usually just are either just everyone playing games in Battle Hub or a room, like a custom first to do custom room, a little more freeform. They also do, I want to say it's bi-weekly, maybe it's bi-weekly at this point, tournaments on Sundays. Or maybe it's monthly, I forget. Take a look at the Newbie Fight Club Discord. Take a look at the events to see when they are. But they are Swiss tournaments, I think. They also do first 2, like elimination brackets, that type of thing. So take a look at that schedule for that. They also do a Modern Monthly. So if you're a Modern Warrior and looking for other Modern Warriors to fight and to see who the best Modern Warrior is, they have a monthly Modern only tournament. So a lot of high level players for that. It's a good time. I haven't had an opportunity to go, but I always see the results, and it's always exciting to watch the matches later on, or watch matches at a later point. So watch the VODs. So thank you guys so much. I do run this through the Fire Rise Discord, so if you're interested in coaching session like this for yourself, take a look at the Fire Rise Discord. Look under Level Up. There's a channel called Sit Down and Shut Up. You can see how to sign up for that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good night.